So Jan van Mol is our most recent Meet the Artist contributor. And for those of you who don't know, there you are, Jan. Hi. Nice to see you. For those of you who don't know, Meet the Artist is a lecture, podcast, and exhibition platform that was launched in 2018 in collaboration with the Webster Center of Creativity and Innovation and Webster's Department of Media Communications. And over the last 3 years, this platform has hosted over 50 artists who have spoken to us about creative projects and processes. And we've recorded 35 podcast interviews. So I'm very happy to share with you the link, which is hosted by the wcci.webster.ch website. So you can all check it out. And it's a great honor to introduce Jan. Jan has been called a whole bunch of things by the international press, including a concept king, a brand guru, a Renaissance man, and a pioneer in the creative industry. He started his first advertising agency in Brussels while he was still at school and developed a loyal client base in many different markets, which he can tell you more about himself. In 1997, he founded a creative laboratory called Addictlab, a multifaceted cultural platform that invites creative thinkers from all disciplines and cultures to collaborate and create sustainable change. Its driving force is collective intelligence. And I mean, how perfect is that given today's theme? But I will share in the chat again a link to Addictlab so you can go and see for yourself. Addictlab has many parts. It has research labs, which provide creative tools and services for companies, an educational part that organizes amazing labs for kids and adults, though I'm not sure why only up to 105, Jan, you'll have to justify that. Addict Lab has also published over 35 magazines and books on creative topics and has now started publishing the SDG zine, which you can go look up for yourself through the last link I'm sharing in the chat now. Sorry for the links, but it's important to information share here. I'm sure that Jan's talk will elicit many questions. And so, you know, depending on Jan's flexibility, he might be very willing to be interrupted during his talk, or we can take questions at the end of the session as you prefer, Jan. You are now managing your own space, so grateful to have you here. Looking forward to your talk.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me well?
Yes.
Because I had issues with my mic on my Mac and my earphones on my earphones. So I'm trying to talk through the microphone and listen to my Mac. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm sitting at or in the Geneva SDG solution space. I don't know if that rings a bell, but it's the University of Geneva that has a space on the Sustainable Development Goals. The reason why I'm here is that in my other space that we use in Ferney-Voltaire, there's a lot of bunch of kids running around with lab jackets and coding stuff and yeah, well, I ran away, to be honest, to be quiet amongst you. Um, I have a little presentation that I can share with you. Can I share you my screen? So yes, thank you for inviting me. And I've been wondering what I do the last 25 years, Juliana. So I have no idea. Sometimes it can be a bit of a mess. I think I have some sort of structure now, but it's only now. Okay. So I'm gonna just briefly walk you through my vision on creative process, and it's basically this image that you see popping on the screen now. Are you seeing a bunch of brains? Yes. Okay.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay. Thank you. No animals were armed harmed during the process, but I think this is what creativity is all about. It's about bringing brains together equally. And you mentioned that I had an advertising agency. Yes, true, but it's having an agency while I was in Belgium. You become like a mercenary your client will pay you. So if you think you need to do, let's say, something blue, and your client says, no, we're going to do red, at the end he will decide and he's going to pay for it, and you'll do it and make it red. Okay, so you're some sort of mercenary in that sense. So I was looking at some sort of system to find new ideas, to talk to people from all over the world, from different cultures, different disciplines. So basically, I drew this little sketch in 97, and on the top there you see all possible creative disciplines: photography, art, design, advertising, food, etc., etc. Okay, you can be creative in as a photographer, but you can also be creative as a doctor, let's say. That's what we call creative disciplines. In the middle, there are the dedicated labs. So let's say we do research on tourism. Let's find ideas to innovate the tourism. There's a tourist lab that opens up. There's a chocolate lab, being from Belgium. It's quite a logic thing. There's the urban green lab, etc. I think I did about 200 labs starting in 97 up until now. Um, the reason why people on the top there are coming is because we have some sort of output. Okay. The output could be publications. So I've been publishing a number of magazines. Okay, so this would be the brand Addict when we did research on branding. This is about nanotechnology. Okay, so every lab has an output being a magazine full of ideas. Yes, is it okay?
Nee, voorzichtig. Ja. Ben je morgen al terug? Tot
Oh.
overmorgen.
I'm hearing Dutch there.
Ik doe niks aan de stookkut hoor, ik laat het gewoon droog.
Ja, nou, als je het zin hebt
Is that
om
okay?
te plaatsen, dan...
Could you please mute yourselves if you're not speaking? Thank you.
Right. Now it's good.
Is it okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Because I heard some Dutch. Okay, so I can let's say show my magazine that has a Dutch guy on the cover. Okay, and this is I'm sorry, Truus. So this is the same guy, and he wants to be the universal person. So he's an art piece himself. Okay, so this is about mutation. So let's say we do research on mutation. I do not know who is going to send in what. I do not know that someone in Holland will say, hey, I want to be part of your crazy system, and I can contribute to a magazine. So every magazine is made by 120, 150 people from these different disciplines, different cultures, etc. So it's completely out of the box thinking. So the output that you see here can be a magazine, could be a website. I understand you had some issues today being hacked. It happened to me a couple of times running my website. If you go to the addictlab.com website today, it's maybe the 10th version of the website that I wanted to do when I started it in 97. There's some three-dimensional stuff. So we do exhibitions, meaning if we do research on recycling, and if we do workshops on creating objects using mushroom, I want to show the object as well. So the object becomes important, and the magazine becomes like a catalog of an exhibition. Okay. So at the bottom there, magazines, website, exhibitions, product development. The fact that I'm sitting here in a space, it's actually a fab lab. I don't know if that's familiar to you, but it's a space where you can create stuff. I have an idea, but I want to go to a machine to prototype the idea. And there's some crazy machines around me, like an egg bot. Okay, so I designed something on a computer, I send it to the machine, I put a sharp in here, and it's going to draw my egg. Okay, we can discuss about the use of that, but it's part of the tools that we can get running a creative laboratory. So all of this is not paid for. Okay, no one is paying me, but sometimes on the left side here, there are sponsors. So being from Belgium, the Ministry of Tourism says, we want to have new ideas on tourism, so let's put some money in this system so that the system can produce an exhibition and a magazine. Okay. On the other side here, on the right side, that's where the companies are. And in the beginning, I really did not know how an organization or a company could benefit from us. me not being wanting to be a mercenary for their company. Okay, so in the end, if I look at some examples, Thalys, the high-speed train that runs from Amsterdam to Paris, the TGV, they said, "Can you think about a new train?" So I can then go dive into the database, invite people that I know because of the magazine, and I'm not going to invite train designers because they know too much. They know their job. They know what we can do with a train or not. But if I look at my magazine on mutation here, there's one of the chefs from El Bulli in Spain. Now, El Bulli in Spain is one of the best restaurants ever, and this is Casper Koerdal. And in the mutation issue, he makes soup. Okay, so this is soup for him. So he's a very interesting guy. So if I can invite someone like Casper Koerdal times 50, like 50 people sitting around discussing about a new train, I can assure you it's completely out of the box thinking. Okay. So that's the model, that we can go out of what we know, out of who we are, but based on our culture and our creative discipline. So if I go to my little presentation here, I ripped off Mendeleev. I said, okay, Mendeleev, I can have all my disciplines as well. So creativity is chemistry. In this sense, creativity is all these creative disciplines. So AR is art, innovation, gardening, 3D printing, etc. Today, we have 145 creative disciplines. I have tools that we use. So I got all these cards here, okay? And I could actually profile every one of you by discussing with you. I could draw two circles. The left circle would be, what is your profession? What are your skills? Let's say I'm working as a finance, marketing finance. But then on the right side, I want you to give you the cards that are your passion and your drive. Oh, cooking, gardening, sports, tattoos, whatever. So we then take a picture of those cards. If we do a brainstorming session, we hang the pages up on the wall so we know who's in the room. And then we can say, okay, we're discussing, we're brainstorming away, and we need input for something. And we don't have input on tattoos, but someone else said, I like tattoos. So we can go to that table and ask the person to join us. Okay. So we use this card game on 8, 9 different ways. Okay. We got the creative chemistry elements. I created the second box, which is the box, this one. It's on profiling and character. Meaning that it's about who you are. If we talk about education, we know what we teach kids, but do we know who we raise? So in this case, it's about we want curious kids, we want sharing kids, etc. So these are more about your character. And then the third box, and that's something that I didn't foresaw in 97, which didn't exist, is the United Nations started with the SDGs. And the SDGs are 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So I thought, okay, I need a box like that as well. So with those 3 boxes, we do lots of things. We profile people, we brainstorm, we we do conversation starters, etc., etc. But it's also a navigation system throughout who you are, what you're doing, and how we publish something in a magazine. Okay. I'll go on, so you can afterwards have some questions. So today I think I can put up 3 hats. The first hat is Addictlab, which is a very bizarre creative laboratory where it interests me to have new ideas and to find ideas and to look for tools to get those ideas in. We get your own lab where we try to sell the ideas, like the example of the Thalys train or Lexus or some other companies. And then what's happening now in the other space is the academy. And that's I started that in 2016, where I looked at it as maybe as a designer. I don't know what I am, to be honest, okay? But I looked at education and said, I think we could do this differently. So today, the academy is all about sharing the ideas. Okay, why are people doing what they do? Why do they upload something on our website, etc.? I want to learn to make something in mushroom instead of plastic. I want to learn how that goes, and I want to be able to share that with others who are interested in that as well. So the tools that I've published are about 35 different magazines. So these are printed stuff, and to be honest, If I don't have a lot of money, I still print tools, okay, because I like printing stuff. I like leaving traces of what is happening. This is research about contemporary women. Okay, so these are all, these are not my ideas. Okay, these are ideas from a group of people that are coming from 120 countries. Right? When we go to a certain location and when you would see our space in Ferney or even here, this is how we move in. And every of these trolleys that you see is a different activity. So within the academy, we are 3D printing, laser cutting, making robots, etc., etc. There's it's the list of the Fab Lab, but we go a bit beyond there. So that's how we move into a space. And when we do activities, we let people go from station to station. So one activity is not all, is never one thing. You'll always experiencing a number of things. Brainstorming sessions that you see there going on. We have some virtual reality headsets, not to play games, but to visual the ideas. Okay, so we use a lot of drawing. We teach about drawing. We teach kids about drawing in 21st century. We start with traditional stuff, like this little image here is taking pictures like we did in 1842, okay, which has, it's called cyanotype. It's using UV of the sun to develop pictures. But on the same time, we will also give people access to a virtual reality setup and trying to visualize something in 3 dimensions. Okay, that's something that then we can 3D print. Or I have some examples here. These are 3D printed Lego blocks of the kids of this morning. Okay. Now, some chocolate here as well. Then the academy uses different kind of tools. All the kids wearing lab jackets, which gives nice pictures, but it's also sometimes useful. Okay. You see a 3D food printer on the left, which can 3D print chocolate, but also a broccoli. So it's a broccoli octopus, to be honest. The other machine there is a pancake printer. So again, we draw something, and with the machine, with the drawing, we send it to a machine, and the machine will print it, laser cut it, etc., etc. We really use different kind of tools. I'll show you some other examples here. Doing what I do, and I don't have any money, I don't have any subsidies, but it also gives me a lot of freedom to do what I do. So if I see a bus that I can buy, I buy a bus. So I bought a bus. It's 12 meters long. We took out all of the chairs. And so the stations that you saw before, that we put them in the bus. And the bus is invited to go to schools. And then we deploy the lab in a school. So these are kids coming in, doing 3D printing, laser cutting, etc., 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 all in the bus. Obviously, COVID didn't help. It's parked now in Lausanne. I'm still figuring out what I need to do with my bus, to be honest. Okay. Then there was an invitation of some sort of commercial center. So we have a space now in a shopping mall next to Levi's and Billabong and G-Star, which is a bizarre environment. But it's interesting because these are normal people. They see that with this bizarre environment with all these machines and stuff. And so kids come and have their weekly lessons. Yesterday, there's homeschooling kids. Today, we're Wednesday. So Wednesday is lab day. So there are kids actually at the lab today doing a number of crazy things. You see some mini pumpkin that we made on laser cutter, and then a very big one that we put inside the shopping mall. And then, yeah, someone said, can you do a birthday party for my kid? And I said, yeah, sure. And that has been going crazy, to be honest. The birthday labs, well, before COVID, we did about 60 till 200 kids a weekend in 2 different locations. The kids go from do virtually do 4 activities, let's say, going from something very high tech like drawing in virtual reality, but also doing very hands-on stuff. I want them to learn them to drill. I want to learn them to saw, etc., etc. Okay, so we really use different kind of things. Even doing it inside, like here, this is the space where I'm sitting at the university, but also outside. we could go outside and say, let's find some fossils. Okay, so this is a real fossil. And then we have some tools where we can make a mold. And then we can temper chocolate, and then we make chocolate. Okay, so this is a chocolate mold of the fossil. So it's that kind of ideas that I like because they are rich in view of different experiences. There's some other examples that I will show you. Yeah, some numbers. It was 2018, but I'll drop it. But yeah, we did lots of stuff. What you see on the left is robotics. So we do lots of robotics as well. We use robots like this, which is from APFL. But my problem with this is that I can't see inside. I have no idea how this works. So I don't like this. But I like the fact that I can say to kids, look at this. Okay, this is a robot. Okay, and I can say to kids, this is not a pen, this is a leg. Okay, and I can stick this on. Okay, and if I stick this on, I can take a motor. Where's my motor? Okay, so let's say I've put a motor here, and I've put some caps here. Okay, so basically, if I'm now going to put because we talked about serendipity, and I wanted to create art with you guys being physically in the room, and so this would be my first robot that I would show you. Okay, it's a cow. It has a motor. It's turning around, and it's not drawing anything on my piece of paper. For the simple reason that I've put in something very symmetric. Okay, now I can take it off, and I can take a piece of glue. And I'm not going to put it in the middle, but I'm going to put it outside. I'm going to put it like this. Okay, so there's more weight on this side than that side. So if I now, I'm going to create art. Okay, you see this is instant art creation online. Up you go. Put in a battery. This is what we do with 6, 7 years old. Okay. So basically, it's going to draw a piece of art on my paper. Okay. So you can imagine that now, as we speak, there are kids doing the same thing at the other space. Only they will be, they could move up, and they would build something like this, which is exactly the same thing. Only it's about a step more into our teaching about electric circuits, etc. We have some tools. I showed you the cards already. We play mini golf, but we don't play mini golf playing mini golf as you do, but we program robots to play mini golf. Okay, so kids need to sit down and think about space and distance and etc. To play our tools. So there's lots of playing around, but learning as well. And then I started thinking about. We took over the space here in Geneva when it's free. The space is actually the Master Students on Innovation. And I saw lots of interesting ideas, but I didn't saw a lot of documentation happening. So I thought, if I'm capable of making these kind of magazines, I think I should make a magazine showing these ideas as well. And so that started 2 years ago. It took me 2 years to actually make the first issue. We have now an intern team that is working on the second one. So basically, the SDG zine is a magazine where we're going to look at SDGs and business, SDGs and education, SDGs and slow fashion, etc., etc., etc. Okay, I can talk to you about that for a long time, but it's the first issue came out now. And we'll be doing or bringing in or sharing challenges so that everybody else can also do the things that we do. How do you do this? Okay, wait, we can explain. What tools do you need to do this? Okay, wait, we can show. We talked about bringing the lab outdoor. These are some examples. Some herbarium. So all of these things, it's DIY. Okay, we design it on the computer, we send it to the laser cutter, and we make it, and we explain how we make it. This little thing here on the right side, it's called a microbit. and it's very small. It looks like this. And we do lots of coding lessons, but I don't want to just teach kids about coding. I want them to code using a SDG related scenario. So one of these things is a bird counter. So they need to make a box, a device. They need to program this. We talk about the importance of counting species. We go outside and they have to count species by pushing a button, and it shows the number of species here. Okay. So there's lots of tools, of using the tools for these SDG related scenarios. Yeah, we build drones. This is a nice one as well. Solar powered lights. So we teach kids about solar energy. They learn how to charge a battery during the day, and at night you have a little light. Same thing, the houses are produced themselves as well. Okay, we do some pantonizing, some drawing, etc. I won't go into detail. We'll do lots of coding stuff. And one of the things that we'll do in July in Pays de Gex is there's an exhibition at the Chateau Voltaire on from DreamWorks. Okay. And so we have access to the chateau. So we're actually doing our activities there as well. Last weekend, I was there. And we will do some stop motion movie activities using our tools. Why stop motion? Because if I go back to my cards here, it's a very rich activity to make a movie about the scenario, about the decor that needs to be made, the characters need to be developed, and the actual filming, the audio, etc. So I can tick off a lot of boxes of my creative cards by doing stop motion movie. So you can't tell me that we can go to the chateau and I'll move in and I'll 3D print Voltaire and change their logo into some sort of laboratory thing here. Here on the left side, this is our space in Ferney. You see a kid programming a robot to go inside the chateau, go to Madame Denis, take a piece of luggage and bring it out. Okay, again, it's coding, but it's in a scenario which is logic if we're in a Chateau Voltaire. So being in a Chateau Voltaire for me, it's so rich because you get the history, the garden, the architecture, let alone the fact that there's this DreamWorks exhibition going on. So I like those kind of multiple experiences. We used the old pond of Voltaire to do drone racing last week. Okay, so we built drones and we raced it in the garden there. The last news from about yesterday is that we can have access to this chateau as well, which is on top of Montreux. So it's going quite fast, to be honest. So I need to see how we can deliver, how we can make sure that everybody that is working with me understands why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, I can understand that not everybody that is helping me knows how to use this machine and 3D print in food, but it's part of the system that we document everything. It's documented. All the tools are documented. All the workshops are documented. The fact that you do an activity might give you some sort of reward. It's all been documented as we speak. So we have a badge system, so you can have your change business badge as well as your science public sphere badge, etc. Why? Because we have too many kids coming back, and I don't know what they did. So I need to know that, okay, I'm capable of making a machine that draws, or I'm capable of drawing something in virtual reality and 3D printing it, etc. So it's a completely parallel way of teaching, I know, but it's what I need now. Because a lot of what we do is goes through like this through an organization, not like this as we tend to organize our education system. And then maybe a last point is about what happened to with COVID is that we needed to reinvent ourselves. We were seen as a destination for kids coming to Geneva, going to CERN on a science trip, coming from India, coming from Vermont, from the New York Times, student journeys, whatever. And so they would go to CERN, and then what do they do in Geneva? So we set up a collaboration with lots of students. These are 17, 18 years old, coming to the space here, teaching about SDGs, making something using the machines. And because of COVID, they could not come. So what I did is we developed a completely hybrid system where you could take over my computers. So we set up a number of computers. You can actually, if I would allow you, you can use my computer to program this. And with another camera, so with another camera here, it's we can film a big plastic river, so a river with lots of plastic inside, and you need to program the robot to take the plastic out of the river. Okay, so it's online teaching, of course, but there's some physical stuff happening in our lab. So kids that could not come to our space, kids that were doing a camp, they received the box at home. We opened the box online. And at the end of the week, we came back saying, okay, this is what you 3D printed. This is what you laser cut. This is what you produced. Okay, so they see it producing. They couldn't be in the lab, obviously, but the actual object is what they got. Voila. Questions? But I could go on, obviously, if you want to show more. It's
Thank you so much for giving us such a comprehensive tour of Addictlab. I was really hoping that you would do it, and there's so many great ideas that you've executed. Because I think, as you once told me, ideas are cheap, and so what matters is taking them to that level of doing something about it, and you've managed. I have one question, and then maybe somebody else does as well. But my question is, do you think you've reached maximum capacity, or are you looking to expand into new spheres of activity in the future with Addictlab? Because you've expanded so very much since you founded this lab.
Yeah. I mean, up until, let's say, up until 2017 or 18, I would have said that I'm an eternal startup. I'm an eternal startup in view of how do I make money, or how do I keep being alive as an organization. Because it was just very difficult for people to understand what I'm doing. Working for Lexus, that's cool, but then the project stops and goes down. So it's been hectic, to be honest. I think today, with the arrival of the academy, I'm trying to be not the bottleneck of what we can do. Okay, I'm trying. That's why we're really into documenting all of the activities. We just got a question of a school. How do we put a lab at a school? So we produced a shopping list of machines. We produce a shopping or a list of activities, and a list of badges that you can get by doing the activities. So I'm hoping we're getting there, in the sense that I'm hoping that it can grow without me being the one that's actually delivering. The fact that I'm sitting here and not bothered by the fact that there are 8 kids running around in the space there is because I trust someone to be there. There's lots of collaboration in our activities as well. We did a 800 kid activity on one day. I can't do it alone. I need people to help me. I need people to man each station. So it's part of the system to grow. And what happened, what I did last week in a school in Lausanne, is we did 3 activities. So we set up lab in the gym. And the first group of kids are what they call digital leaders. So these are kids that are 10 years old, 11 years old. They have their iPad, okay? And they will help other kids to put apps on their iPad. So the digital leaders are cross classes. So they're from different classes. So the first group that we did, we were 2 people, we did all the activities with these kids. And then after that, the other sessions, these kids were my collaborators. These kids were the lab jackets. These kids were next to each station explaining virtual reality, laser cutting, etc. It's just mind blowing, because we empower them. We empower them to tell about what they just learned. We empower them to say to speak up how to do this. So it's I'm afraid of growing of becoming too big and hiring people and then having a problem of not having enough projects. But what happens now is the other way around, obviously. So it's growing quite fast. So I need to see how can I be very, very agile to answer to something like COVID, but then also respond very quickly of what's happening in the last couple of days of just being crazy, to be honest, in view of new projects, new demands that are coming up, etc.
Thank you. We have a question from Alexia.
Hi, I wanted to say that your project is really interesting. I'm from Belgium too, so that's a detail I like to give. So my question was, how do you manage to buy 3D printers and so much lab stuff? But I mean, it's really expensive. So is it a project that is lucrative or not? I mean, where do you get the funds from? Is there people like giving qui font des dons, or I don't know?
The dawn, that would be nice. Well, let me show you something. If I can share my screen again. So the answer is no. Okay, no one is giving me money, but also I don't have to pay anyone else, which means that I'm growing gradually, which means that I'm trying to be very realistic about what I can do and what I cannot do. Okay, buying a bus, to be honest, it's not very expensive. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what I paid, but it's really not expensive. The machines, yes, I made mistakes in buying tools. I can show you if you want. I'm going to show you the website that Juliana didn't mention. So I've got addictlab.com as the website. There's also the Academy website where people register, where people reserve their activities. And so these are tools that by doing, we evaluate. So I got kids testing the machines. And to be honest, there are companies interested in that as well. So sometimes companies give me stuff to test. And then I can say, well, I really don't like it. Or yes, this is cool. So some of the tools in the shop, I can sell it to you. Okay, because I'm like a reseller. It's not always the case, and it's really is not my main business to resell the stuff. But it's part of my relationship with these companies. So if I go to if I use Sphero, I contact Sphero to say I'm going to do this with you. Please help us. I just got a box from Lego because Lego made this diversity kit, really cool, and they know that we're going to do something with it in the magazine. So we're going to try to be very transparent about collaborations. But there's also a lot of companies making stuff that is just not right for education. No, it's just not okay. So speaking about machines, this is my very popular machine, the badge machine. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Yeah, one of the activities I would have done if we would have been together physically would be kintsugi. If you talk about serendipity, this is Japanese. Like if you drop something in ceramic, you have to glue it using gold powder. Okay, and it becomes like therapeutic to make something. So you see that we're doing those kind of things next to something like the virtual reality set here. And when we started doing birthday parties, I said every time I do a party, I need to buy a gray box to fit my stuff in. I have lots of gray boxes now, and I need my machines to fit in the gray box. Otherwise, I can't move around. Okay, so I buy my machine. The 3D printer needs to be very small. Otherwise, I can't go to school with a 3D printer. My laser cutter is very small. Okay, if it's too big, I don't buy it because I can't go. It's different in the space here. If I need a big laser cutter, I'm going to use this machine here. Okay, it's a very big one. So that's where the collaborations come in. And that's where if you go to addictlab.com, you'll see that we have a number of spaces that we can use or collaborate with. The drones that we have, they only cost 30 euros or so, but it's very cool to be able to explain to kids how you build your drone. The machines. So the first two I'm not using anymore. They're too big. This one, if I go to a school, I dismantle it completely. I give the screwdriver to a kid 9 years old, and they're going to build the machine. Okay, it's a good machine to do that. 3D foot printer, it's and that's because it's Dutch. It's really cool. It's just very expensive. And but if we throw a party, we design something and we print on the cake using the 3D foot printer. Some mobility stuff, and it's the mix of people, organizations needing ideas of innovation that I can get some money than to invest in the machines, obviously. But we also need to be very clever. If I have 800 kids coming to some sort of event, and I want them to sit down, that's a lot of chairs. I can't rent them. It's too expensive. What I can do is I can buy cardboard bags that I can inflate, and I can put them in the bus. And if we go to a space, we inflate the cardboard bags and kids can sit on it. Okay, it's very low, but it's an interesting experience so that they can even draw it on it, etc. Some laser cutting machines. So these are not mine. Okay, I cannot buy a machine of 80,000 Swiss francs to laser cut. But having access to all of these machines, we can do a lot of things ourselves. If I need a box here, because I made these kits, we'll produce it on our own using the lab. If I need a logo on my car, we'll produce it on the vinyl cutter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have time for one more question, perhaps, Vlad?
Sure, sure. This is just fascinating. I have to say I'm in awe of everything you do, Jan. Does anyone else have any question, or maybe in the chat? You can also raise your hand. I think my question would be when can we run one of the workshops that we're supposed to run on our campus? That's going to be the next objective, because I would love to be a participant, and if by then people can travel, we can even open it up to other people who might be interested.
Yeah, maybe for those who are interested, have a look at the addictlab.com website. If it's this one, because I didn't talk much about me personally, etc. But it's a way to organize what I've been telling, and you'll see there's a list of lab projects that you can join. It's all free. There's no hidden agenda whatsoever. You can register. You can become a member. You can say, I want to join the project being the SDG zine number 2, for instance. I'm linked to a certain hub. So Webster should be a hub, to be honest, so that someone can link themselves to the hub and be part of the system. If you go to works here, I'm going to show you a nice project which is called Beauty for a Better World. And so this is a call out by an old organization from Belgium, Alexia, called Beauty for a Better World. And they said, okay, the COVID is happening, we need more beauty. And so these are all collaborations, all members sending in ideas or art related to beauty for a better world. Okay. I can't pay for anything else. I can't pay for an exhibition, but the way that this is growing, it creates some sort of output. This is my thing that I did here in an exhibition, but you see that every of these pieces. So if I click on that piece, it's called You Can't Hug Me. This is me. It's an art project, and it's going to be linked to a number of projects on the website. So we're now working on SDG zine number 2. So if someone of you has activities or ideas related to the SDGs on recycling, on responsible consumption, I'm very interested in it to publish it. So you see that this is a project. I'm running this project as a manager. That's how it's structured, but everyone can run its own project. And then you see people sending in ideas linked to that theme. Some of the ideas will make it to the magazine or to an exhibition, depending what it is. But it's even like this. This is a kid. He's 10 years old, and he made a video game on the SDGs that you should shut down your faucet, otherwise you're wasting 11,000 liters or so. So the thing is, the website is actually work in progress, and sometimes it becomes a magazine or an exhibition. Sometimes it just stays there.
Excellent. So thank you so much, Juliana. Do you want to close? Maybe let people know about what will follow, perhaps?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jan, for sharing this fascinating thing you've created, this universe that you've created. We should all check it out and join various labs and collaborate on various projects that are there. I will be sending my son to you as well. Maybe when he turns 8, so maybe not quite this year because he's going to turn 7, but in a year. Maybe 8 is more appropriate. It sounds very highfalutin, your labs, like high
No,
tech. So
no. I completely do not agree. We got
okay.
girls 5 years old that are way more mature than boys of 13. So
True.
age is really not the thing.
I've got a boy, so okay. So I'll think about it. But thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. We realize how very busy you are. So thank you so much. Please feel free to stay.